So I know I said that I was gonna do this live, but unfortunately time doesn't permit for me to do it live. So I'm gonna just hop on real quick just to show you the epoxy method in order to lay your glitter down. What I use is 1 dram of each, which is actually a bit too much because you don't even need that much. But the rest of it, I'm gonna just pour into a mold. Super simple, super easy. Base the cup, whatever color you wanna base it, contingent upon the glitter that you're gonna be using, in which I left my blue. I think it's actually on that chef thing. So in order to apply it, you can either apply it with your finger or you can apply it with a brush, whichever you prefer. Me personally, I like to do the finger because you can feel when you have enough on there because it really don't take that much. So just real quick, as soon as you walk in, babe, it doesn't take that much. You got my glitter? A really small amount is all you need. Thank you, Mama. And make sure you get it all over the cup. And this is just pretty much just dragging the epoxy over the cup because you really don't want that much on there. Super thin amount. Pretty much what we're using this epoxy for is pretty much just like glue, I guess you would call it, if you would be doing the Mod Podge method. How when you're putting the Mod Podge on the cup, you don't use a whole lot of Mod Podge, because if you do use a whole lot of Mod Podge, then you get those lines and stuff in it. That's pretty much the same thing should go with this. Or if you put way too much epoxy on the cup, then the epoxy gets what I like to see is thirsty. But it leaves like those wet looking spots on it. That's because you put way too much epoxy on the cup, and you just have to keep feeding the epoxy and feeding the epoxy and feeding the epoxy in order to make sure that you have enough glitter on it. Or when I say feeding the epoxy, I mean putting glitter on it pretty much. So you can waste a whole lot of glitter if you put way too much epoxy on your cup. So I'm just spreading it out on there, making sure I have enough, making sure it's all over the place, making sure I didn't leave a spot. This doesn't take any drying. Like as soon as you get your desired amount of epoxy on there, then you can go ahead and go with your glitter. And I'm just rubbing to make sure that if I do have any extra epoxy on there, it's gonna come off now, versus when I put the glitter on there and it's just gonna leave all those wet spots on it. Need a clean sheet of paper. Just a sec. In order to catch my fall from my glitter. And you just dump the glitter on it. Make sure you get good coverage on it. I'll go back to the bottom.
So cute.
And this is just making sure you're getting the coverage on it. Typically I would dump a lot on it, but I don't have much in my little container, so I have to sprinkle it. I would typically use the dump method and just kind of dump it on there. Now I'm gonna get the bottom. And the way that I do my bottom, especially with my turner, is I tilt it up just a hair bit. I actually tilt it up as much as you need and just dump it on there. And of course, when you get ready to come back down, make sure you have something to catch it. And then I'm gonna go back over the cup just one more time to make sure that I got good coverage on it. And it's dry. It's good. No, I don't need any more. I'm just making sure. And at this point, if you put too much epoxy on it, you can tell at this point because the wet spots will start poking up at this point. And you can see that it's not working for you. And you have to add more epoxy because your cup is too wet. Turn it around. That's the basic concept of using the epoxy method. That's the basic concept of using the epoxy method in order to lay your glitter down on your cup. Super easy, less than 10 minutes to do it. Let it dry, and then once it dry, it takes maybe like 45 minutes to dry. Then once it dry, you can go back over with another coat of epoxy, and then once you put your second coat of epoxy on, then that's when you can start working on it. But I actually like the outcome of it. It came out exactly how I needed it to come out. I just wanted to make this quick video so you can see how the epoxy method works.